Hello, my name is Doug Lowen. How much do you hate debt? When I talk to people about their financial goals, the number one thing I hear them say is, I want to get out of debt. They don't say, I want better investments, I want to pay less in tax, I want to beat inflation. They say, I want to get out of debt. So today I want to talk to you about some basics behind debt, why we get into it, what's around it. First of all, the important thing for you to understand is how debt creates slavery. The richest and wisest man in the world was King Solomon, who lived thousands of years ago. And he said, just as the poor are servants to the rich, so the borrower is a slave to the lender. So every time you go get a mortgage, every time you go get a credit card, every time you borrow money on a line of credit, you are making yourself a slave to the lender. That is really, really important to understand, and just how wrong that is, because freedom is really where we need to be striving for. The second thing is to understand the fraudulent aspect that the lender is part of the process. Is that when a lender, when a bank is lending money, you are going in there and you are signing a promissory note. You're signing your name on that. With that signature, you are creating credit. So the bank is actually not loaning you anything at all. And this is something that you can go and search up on yourself online and find very, very easily. They are not loaning you anything. There is no risk that they are taking. There is no cost that they are giving in order to have you become a slave to them, become indebted to them. So there is a fraudulent aspect of that. Now, it has been made legal because of the governments and the banks and how they've colluded together to work together. It is legal, but it is legalized fraud. Okay, so that's the basics of debt. Now, just to talk a little bit about the debt that our country is in. So let's talk about our public debt of the government. And then we're going to talk about private debt that we have. First of all, in 1974, the Bank of Canada, which is the people of Canada's bank, stopped being the one that the country was indebted to. And instead now, they were the private banksters. Now, I love that word because it just so defines who the bankers are. It's the private banksters now that our country is indebted to. Now, it used to be in the 80s that we talked about millions. And $1 million weighs roughly about 22 pounds. My 9-year-old could carry it to school in her backpack. And then now in the 90s, we started talking about billions when we were referring to our debt. And now we start talking about trillions. $1 trillion weighs 11,000 tons. Okay, do you understand that? 11,000 tons. Our country is indebted, when you include all the provincial and national debt, about $1.2 trillion. Okay, so that is a public situation. The fraudulent debt that has created slavery, and that is the picture that our country is in. Private debt, you look about how it used to be that just one parent would go to work. Well, suddenly now our dollars go less and less far. They become worth less and less. Cost of living keeps soaring faster than the person's income. So what is the answer? The second parent goes to work. Okay, so now, two parents are working, but at least they can keep their heads above water. Well, now, as the cost of living keeps soaring and soaring and soaring and soaring, even beyond two parents' income, well, now the only other answer is to go into debt. So families' debt load is increasing exponentially. It is going beyond control, beyond health, and it is just creating slavery to a sickening degree. It's just sick how much debt families carry. So again, you think back to the fraudulent aspect of debt and the slavery that it creates when you sign that piece of paper with that lender. I want to talk to you about a few strategies, okay? Now, I will show you in-the-box strategy, and then I'll show you some out-of-the-box as well. First thing is in order to understand debt, you need to track your spending. Every month, probably 2 months, every day, I want you to track every single penny that is spent, exactly what you're spending it on. Keep your receipts. Then you create a budget from that to see what is realistic for your goals. Squeeze yourself a little bit, but be realistic at the same time. From your budget, there's certain discretionary items that will fluctuate each month. Your amount of entertainment, your amount of eating out, your miscellaneous expenses, all of those things. Keep those amounts, put cash at the beginning of the month into an envelope, and that is your amount of money to spend. Do not go beyond it. As soon as the envelope is empty, you're done. Then attack. Nail down your debt and attack one credit card at a time. Completely different strategy, but attack one at a time, paying your minimum payments on everything. And then the last thing is to start setting some financial goals. Very important that you just set the bar kind of high, get kind of excited, shoot for the stars instead of aiming for the mud. You set some real strong financial goals, not only controlling your spending, but increasing your income at the same time. So those are some in-the-box ideas to control debt. Just really quickly, as far as some out-of-the-box ideas, if you are really in a bad situation, you may need to negotiate your debt. You may need to work together with a debt negotiator to work on that. But the one I want to target with you today, and I'm not going to get into it at all, is something called debt conversion. If you understood what I talked about when I mentioned how the fraudulent aspect of debt creation, when credit is created, when you sign that promissory note, then what you will understand is there's something called debt conversion. Now, this is something that is maybe not quite a reality quite yet, but it is something that I have been studying for the last couple of years, and this is something that you'll be able to read on my blogs, and when you sign on to the Freedom Fighter newsletter on the link below, I will keep you in touch and up to date with what's happening with debt conversion. And that is the aspect of taking debt, the fraudulent aspect of it, and turning it into money. Probably sounds too good to be true. And if that's what you're thinking, I want to prove you wrong. Thank you so much for watching. I encourage you now to go to www.freedomps.ca, where you can join the Freedom Fighter Network. Here you will get weekly articles and videos encouraging you on your road to freedom, not only in your wallet, but also in your whole life. As well, you'll be able to download a copy of 5 Key Steps to Abundant Financial Freedom. This is a free chapter from my up-and-coming book. Very excited, so take care and God bless.